What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the recording. I hope you're having a wonderful day. If it's Saturday or whatever, you're watching the day of releases, I hope you're having a good one. If you haven't yet, please do click that red subscribe button down below. YouTube certainly does not send my videos out to the algorithm, so it's great to see people subscribe so they can actually find them. Usually Saturdays are a good time to relax and recount what happened throughout the week, but there's also a show that happens Friday night, and that's Bill Maher's show, a liberal that often rustles the jimmies of the modern liberals, the leftists, by critiquing his own party. I understand why this happens. It happens to me too. Even like, I know that probably my viewership leans right or moderate, but there's a tiny percent that are like evangelical about being conservative, and when you poke at the right, they get mad. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's just a tiny part of my viewership. But Bill Maher is still kind of amplified out there as a lefty, and they get really mad when you poke holes in their own stuff. Suddenly, the right pronoun doesn't seem so big. Bill Maher taunts woke mob's obsession with trans rights and says the prospect of Roe v. Wade being overturned puts it all into perspective. Yeah, while you're over here worrying about 37 flavors, this was happening. Now, again, I'm on the record as saying that I believe that as many things as humanly possible should be pushed back to the states, to the smallest form of governorship that people live under. It's easier to vote in your state. It's easier to have a say in your own state about what the laws that affect you. And I'm a big fan of pushing it back to the states. That isn't me supporting or not supporting that act. I feel very conflicted in it. For some people, it's very black and white. And especially people who are religious, and I understand and respect that. I also understand that there are exceptions to the rule that I think people need to understand. I also understand that there are people that use this procedure as a form of birth control, and I think that's obviously not good, not okay, and that's putting it lightly. It's a complex issue where both sides are deeply divided. But I think if we can acknowledge that, at least, I think we should all agree that it should be pushed to the state. It's like, if you want to be, if you're a pro-choice person, you want to go live in a pro-choice state. That's easier to do than leave the entire country when you're living under federal law. Now, Real-Time host with Bill Maher mocked woke advocates for trans issues on Friday night, saying the possible overturning of Roe v. Wade was a more important issue that put their complaints into perspective. In his opening monologue, Maher discussed the Supreme Court leak that revealed the 5 justices are prepared to alter the landmark case. But the talk show host couldn't resist taking a jab at trans folks and their supporters' obsession with policing pronouns. Louisiana wants to pass a law that says flat out, if you get this procedure, you will get charged. Wow, Maher said, referencing the state's controversial bill. Suddenly, getting the right pronoun doesn't seem so big, does it? Along with the Louisiana bill, Maher criticized the wave of states looking to set more restrictive laws as they expected Roe v. Wade to be overturned. Oklahoma already has one on the books. 6 weeks, can't get one. After 6 weeks, he said, most women don't even know they're pregnant in 6 weeks. They don't even know if they like the guy in 6 weeks. Well, maybe stop having casual hookups. And by the way, that goes for both. I'm not going to sit like, that's one of the biggest complaints I have with a lot of people's, commenting on this issue. Like, this may make you wriggle. I don't think it would. I think that my viewers are pretty self-aware. But like, bro, it takes 2 to tango. Like, if you don't want some woman to vacuum out your baby, maybe don't get her pregnant. Like, I know that there are cases where, this or that or this or the other thing, but you can greatly reduce your risk of ever being affected by it by, keeping it in your pants or using contraception, even though that fails some percentage of the chance. You get what I'm saying? Like, people are just way too loose with hookups these days. I mean, it's why that in 2022, so many of these like STDs are on the rise. They should be an all-time low. I see so many of these like divorcees, both men and women, friends of mine, getting on these apps and just like boning their brains out. And it's just like, I mean, it's cool, sweet, or whatever, but like also, you know, have some responsibility. Um, and I think that's the core of how I feel about this kind of stuff is like, you made a life, you have to kind of take some responsibility for that. You can't just vacuum away all your problems in life. Every time the going gets tough, you know, this is for 99.99% of pregnancies, it's 100% avoidable, right? The left likes to stand on victims and say like, well, yeah, but what about when the uncle does this? Or what about when a woman is, taken against her will? Great. I mean, not great, but I mean like, fine. That's different. But that's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about the 90% of other ones that are elective. We're not talking about the ones where the mother's health is at risk. I think everyone can agree on that. We can agree on, where it happens against their will. We can agree on that. We're talking about the willing decision that a man and woman make to, not take some precautions. That's easy for me to say as a 39-year-old guy. But like, even when I was younger, like, I don't know, my parents were very clear with me. Like, I remember I always say, don't be bringing no babies here. Don't be bringing no babies home. You need rubbers? Here's rubbers. Use them. I did. I mean, it was just, they knew I was going to be a kid, but they weren't going to like, anyway, sorry, that was a weird aside. It's where was this other, hold on a second. I think it was like this. There's this like new law in the book, law in the books where they're going to have like stuff in men's bathrooms. Like this is what the left has been worrying about. Menstrual equity. Oregon puts tampons in men's bathrooms. I think they call it like menstrual dignity or something like that. This is what the left's been working. This is what the left has been. Yeah, here it is. 23 hours ago. Menstrual Dignity Act requires pads and tampons in boys' bathrooms. Why? Why? Dude, if you're watching the video version, this guy's eyebrows are legit. What is going on there? They're like painted on. They look like a woman's eyebrows. Like, I bet you a woman would be like, dang, what are they saying? Fleek? Man, her eyebrows are on fleek. But then it's on a dude, and it looks, I don't know. Anyway, conservatives are seeing red over new Oregon law that requires these products to also be offered inside of boys' bathrooms. I mean, what do you think you're going to do? What do you think is going to happen with all those in the boys' rooms? They're going to get stuck to the wall. They're going to get stuck to the back of other guys leaving the bathrooms. That's what's going to happen to them. Why is this a law? Because weirdo politicians are worried about this kind of stuff. Like, what does a boys' room need a tampon dispenser for? Anyway, Maher said the ruling was not set a law and that it would not have the drastic impact pro-choice defenders believe it would. Most of these procedures now, even when you go to a clinic, are done with the pill, Maher said. The pill. Pills are easy to get in America. So for people who say that we're going back to 1973, we're not. That's just factually inaccurate. He added that these rights in most European countries are far more restrictive than in the United States. The modern countries in Europe are way more restrictive than we are, even what they're proposing, Maher said. So if you're pro-choice, you would like a lot less in Germany, Italy, France, Spain, and Switzerland. In the United States, only 22 states set certain limits at 20 weeks or less, according to the Guttmacher Institute, most states have it set to a shorter time frame, cannot enforce the law, as they have faced numerous legal challenges. Maher also claimed that whatever the Supreme Court decides on will always be fluid, as the law can be changed in the future. This whole BS argument about, well, it's settled law. So was segregation, Maher said. Plessy versus Ferguson was settled law in 1896, and thank God somebody said, let's unsettle it. So that's a BS argument. It's what you think, Maher said. If you like babies, then you're pro-life. If you're pro-women, then you're pro-choice. But Maher's guest, Democratic strategist and CNN contributor, don't care. Instead, that insisted that the Supreme Court decision would compound with a wave of restriction bills being passed across the United States. We're not going back to 1973. We're going back to 1931, he cited. Nah, that's not going to happen. People are still going to cross state lines to go do it, or like, heaven forbid, people maybe be a little more careful where they're slinging their baby batter. Like, I put it on men as a man. Okay, I'm not going to just say that, oh, these women are whores because they're having unprotected relations with the man. Bro, the man is there too. Okay, you have every choice to protect yourself. Like, I'm not going to speak on women. I can, I've seen plenty of my friends with, multiple kids from multiple moms. And it's always okay. Well, I mean, I appreciate you. It's not like you're still my friend, but like, bro, strap it up once in a while, or maybe, stop putting the cart in front of the horse. Either way, it's always good to watch Maher rustle the jimmies of the left. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.